Today on Independent Wrestling Profiles, we're talking with Lee Falcon. So where does the story begin?
Oh man, for my story, that where it begins for wrestling, geez, I guess I'd have to say it goes back for me early childhood. I guess when I was like maybe 6, 7 years old. I have two older brothers, so I'm like the third sibling in the family. My oldest brother Nathan, which I guess you would say is Sean Falcon, he'd be my brother in the old Falcon Brothers. But there's a middle brother in there, and at the same time, growing up, we used to watch a lot of wrestling. I guess I would be the guinea pig when it come to new moves that they wanted to learn or try to teach themselves. So I was the guy that, you put me into the walls of Jericho 100 times until I tap. That was me. Or you pick me up, power bomb me through a couple couches. It was my early childhood was for sure growing up just embracing wrestling just through being the one picked on watching wrestling, but also getting to share that experience with my brothers going, oh my God, they want to beat me up, but also throw me around in the basement for a couple hours. This is awesome. But also this was like, is this supposed to be real or is this fake? I don't know. I felt like it was more real than fake. So that's what got me into wrestling. And then following through watching Goldberg, he was kind of like that early idol to me growing up with the action figures, all that stuff. Like, who's next? Like, that's kind of like, growing up watching that was like Goldberg got me amped up. I don't know. That's what got me into wrestling was my brothers and Goldberg.
So I don't want to start some sort of like turf war or anything like that, but
Yeah.
were you a WCW guy? Was that like
See,
was there a bit of like a conflict between the WWE, WCW stuff?
See, that's you'd have to probably get more mad at my brother, I guess, because he was the one with most of the action figures and watching it on TV. So I would say yes, I really enjoyed watching that growing up. But I mean, the transition to WWF back in the day was real easy for me too. But yeah, WCW was for sure my growing up, like watching it on TV, kind of remembering it. You got Sting coming out, you got, Scott Steiner, all these guys, Chris Benoit early in his age too there. So yeah, WCW for sure would have been my early taken of wrestling, you
All right,
know.
so not an uncommon story to have older brothers and kind of
Yeah.
become the guinea pig of the moves. I mean, those don't try this at home warnings did nothing.
No,
Uh,
yeah. We legit broke two couches growing up, and that was me getting put through those couches. So
so that's
it
kind of
was,
where I was going to
yeah.
go with that was to ask you, when I was younger, I think the worst thing that I took was we went to like a carnival where they had like the inflatable like displays, and I took a
Yep.
pedigree that didn't break my
No.
nose, but I bloodied up pretty bad. What are some of the worst things that your brothers did to you?
Okay, so I would say getting, like I said, my middle brother. So he's not the wrestler out of the Falcon brothers there, but he did give me a power bomb through one of the couches, and I just remember getting the power bomb, and it was one of those like once you went down for the impact, you felt the first layer of the couch break, and then you went through the second layer. And so the best part was this whole story, why we laugh about this, and we talk about it a lot with the family is when I went through that second layer, I instantly knew, okay, I'm getting up and I'm screaming towards my mom, going, I didn't break the couch. I didn't break the couch. My brother Kyle broke the couch. He insisted, going, no, no, no. Clinton broke the couch. Clinton broke the couch. So it was just one of those things, like, I don't know. You just had that as like a brother, growing up doing that stuff. You just learn, being idiots in the basement, but it was really because of wrestling. You watch something on TV and then an hour later you're all trying it on a couch and trying to, reenact the stunt and then realize why they put up, don't try this stuff at home. So that was my number one. And then, like I said, we used to do, it was a lot of the title matches. I remember we used to have this fuzzy snake. Like you said, going to the carnival, you get like those long, stupid snakes. We didn't really have belts back in the day because, they didn't come out with belts. So we had this snake and we used to have it. It was yellow and we had it as a belt, I guess. And we used to tie it up to one of the lampshades. And
Yeah.
who would try to grab the lampshade, right? Get the belt off, and we tie that sucker on pretty good, and you try to hang off it and reenact your best Jeff Hardy as best as possible. And I think one of us ended up hanging on that snake too long and ended up breaking a light, and getting yelled at and getting grounded later on. But that's the two things I remember growing up with my brothers. To you know, we caused chaos trying to create our WWF moments.
So that's a very colorful past in regards to things that might
Yeah.
have perhaps deterred somebody, getting the
Yeah.
moves put on you, the fear of getting caught, different things like that.
Yeah.
Was there ever a doubt in your mind at that age that this was something that maybe one day you wanted to do that
Uh,
like, because I can imagine, you're watching a show and you see, oh, that move looks devastating. Who's going to do that to me now, right? And not only to be fearful of it, but to fully embrace it and be like, bring it on.
See, that was, I mean, it helped too. Like we had a pool growing up, so it was one of those, the tag team moves. I was one of the guinea pigs as well for that. Like my two older brothers would grab me and then end up, doing a double team move, throw me into the pool, or they'd reenact the old throw the one up, and all of a sudden the cutter out of nowhere. Like it was just, yeah, you got real comfortable taking these moves. So then, as I got older, I realized talking with my brother that we could, someday get into this and actually maybe try wrestling as a real thing and then see what happens because we grew up doing it with each other for so long that we're like, hey, instead of beating each other up in a basement, why not we try this in a ring and actually see if we can entertain people that way? And that's kind of just that's how we got into wrestling is just kind of, growing up watching it, being brothers, beating each other up, and then all of a sudden getting into wrestling and trying it out. So
When you say getting into wrestling, do you mean like going to training, like wrestling school, or was it like backyard wrestling kind of stuff
yeah,
first?
not backyard wrestling. I would say more or less me and my brother for getting into wrestling would be going back into Maxwell's. It's an event that happened years ago. I want to say before COVID. There was a Maxwell show. They had Kevin Nash there. They had a few other, famous wrestlers like Scott Steiner. They had like a couple other guys that were up and coming in the indies. Then they had Joey Janela actually there. So I haven't watched wrestling in a while. Since maybe 2013, I kind of stopped watching WWE. I kind of fell out of it. I was like, okay, I'm kind of done watching wrestling. I'm over this. Me and my brother used to hang out all the time and watch wrestling. And then I was like, I took a break. And then we went to the show. Ended up watching a few matches, stayed for the whole event. Joey Janela wrestled Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner put Joey Janela through a pizza machine. He broke the pizza machine. It was an intense night. This is just downtown Waterloo. Like, we're all having a hoot. Me and my two brothers are there, and we're just like, this is awesome. So then going home, we're hanging out, we're chit chatting, and then my brother's like, "Hey, like, did you ever, hear All Elite Wrestling? Like, they're this new show coming up." And I was like, maybe we'll get into it, watch it. And then, a few months pass, and then all of a sudden my brother's like, "Hey, Joey Janela got signed to be part of All Elite Wrestling." So then that's what kind of got me hooked back into wrestling. So this is like 2019. All of a sudden, this is like just before COVID happened. AEW, is just coming on Wednesday nights. They're starting to do their thing, and I'm watching because Joey Janela's on there. So me and my brother are watching. That ended up getting us talking about wrestling. We're like, hey, if Joey Janela or these guys can kind of get into wrestling and do something at his age, maybe we can do something as well that, for us, for while we're here and for, in our prime, for our age and all that stuff before we get too old and go, shit, maybe we missed our opportunity. We were like, listen, we should do this. So I'm kind of going, yeah, 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 let's do it, brother. I'm just kind of shooting the stuff going, yeah, calling him out. So, yeah, he's probably just talking out of his, butthole about it all. And ended up coming to my 30th birthday party. I'm like, it'd be pretty cool to do wrestling or something, try a wrestling school out. And so on the 30th birthday party, my brother goes, "Hey, I got you a surprise birthday like thing for a wrestling school. Do you want to try it?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah." I'm like, "I'd love to try it. Like, why not?" So I ended up going there with my cousin and his girlfriend and all that stuff. And it pretty much turned into like a wrestling training slash wrestling, hey, this is 2 hours of do whatever you want, get it out of your system, let's have a good time. And it was at the Off the Rope Studio School. So here's a guy, Jeff Black, and a guy, Jake Constant, two people just standing there going, hey, what do you want to do? And pretty much me and my brother just did the usual training, the usual startup, the what they do and show you. I fell in love. Like the adrenaline was flowing, the addiction was flowing. It was like you just inserted the IV right into me and I just took it and I was just like the high was there. I was having a blast. And honestly, I fell in love right there and then in that mat. And that's what truly got me into wrestling was my brother pushing me to go to the school, try it out at 30 years old, but us also hanging out every Wednesday night, shooting the shit, watching wrestling for a couple hours and just, reliving our childhood, but watching guys wrestle on TV. And then all of a sudden, here we are. We're wrestlers. So that's pretty much what got me back into wrestling right there.
So was it
Yeah.
right after this like 2 hour, I don't know, like introduction thing that you signed up for regular classes and started doing the training on like a
Yeah.
regular basis?
Yeah. It was after that 30th birthday, 2 hours seminar that they paid for or whatever. It was whatever they signed me up for. Yeah. I pretty much told my brother, like, we need to email them ASAP. Let's go. This is it. Like, this is a must. Like, it was pretty much my destiny right there. I knew wrestling is meant to be for us. So,
I don't want to minimize it too much, but the fact that your birthday present was you becoming a wrestler is a
yeah.
phenomenal way to paraphrase it. Uh,
Yeah. 30 years old. I can't complain. Yeah. That was a good birthday present.
Talk to me about the transition into actual training. Like, were you a rather athletic or physically fit person? Did you have a lot of difficulties with getting around? Like, I get the fandom and the passion was there, but maybe
Yep.
some of the mentality of like the in-ring work and the why you do the things that you do. Like, how was that transition for you?
It wasn't too hard because growing up, me and my brother played a lot of competitive hockey and we did other sports like soccer and stuff through the summer and all that. But it just helped for me that kind of like having that sports background helped me just going in with that attitude to respect what they were trying to teach me, to respect everything like they were trying to lay down with the knowledge of like why we do this in a certain way or why we have a certain kind of critiques to things. It wasn't like me coming in with an attitude going, you know what, I'm in shape or, I'm better than you or I'm faster than you or I can, gain this a little bit better than you. So I was trying to come in, or I did come in with an attitude going, let's just see what they have to say. I'm completely new here. Like I'm starting at square one. You know what I mean? Like it's not like I'm a hockey player where I know already know how to skate. Like I'm coming in there like they're teaching me how to walk. So that's how I kind of took it. Like just sit back and be quiet, but also just gain their knowledge. And I don't know. It felt like the way they taught it. Like you respect them, they're going to respect you, and that's pretty much how I embraced it. And it's just allowed everybody in the school to get better every day, pretty
Uh,
much.
So, so this
Yeah.
might be a bit of a weird question, but like, at what point did you think that this was really going to happen? Like, I know that you go into the wrestling with the intention to become a wrestler, the intention to have matches, but I have
Yeah.
to imagine that there's still probably like a bit of like a surreal moment, like when you actually do get hey, you're going to be in a match, like, oh, n now I have to actually do this. Like, was there a point where you were like, oh, I'm not training to be a wrestler. I am a wrestler.
Yeah. I would say that probably hit me maybe a month or two before my first match. I'd have to say like kind of give you the heads up in training, like say, hey, like we're planning on this and that, be available for this so and so date. But like things could change, right? Like things could happen last minute. Like a date could change. They could move it to a certain, venue or something like that. But for me, it was about a month or two before my first match. I was kind of driving home with my brother, going, all right, it's time to like really dial it in here. Like I gotta really like let's practice here. Like let's get the steps down or whatever they kind of teach us in the next couple weeks. Like we got to grasp it and go with it. I don't know. It's just when you get that, it's before any match, really. I don't think that ever goes away. Even if like if you're a veteran, like before you're, say you're going into a match and it's like your 80th match, I think you're still sitting there going, you get the jitters. You get those like bugs going where you're like, all right, could this happen? Start thinking about things that could happen, but really does it happen? No, you just start, you know, getting your mind ready for that. So yeah, I'd say about a couple months before my match. So probably 4 or 5 months in, I was starting to go, all right, this is starting to happen. Like I'm becoming a wrestler. There's no going back now, So
I'm glad to hear it because I think the nervousness, even to a small extent, just means that you still care, that you give a damn. Otherwise,
yeah,
you wouldn't get nervous because it doesn't matter to you.
well, that's what I mean. You're trying to put on a show for these people, and like you said, a lot of these people drive, an hour or two to come to these shows, and they're putting in their time they're spending a Saturday night to come see wrestling. So a lot of these wrestlers do get that emotions in the back of their head where they got to go. All right, like it's time to let's really up our level here and see what we can do to make these fans remember the night. So, but that's a good thing, right? There's
It
positives to that.
100%, 100%. So tell me about the first match. Who was it against? How did it go? What kind of feedback did you hear? Were you kind of relieved, but also a little amped up and ready for more when it was done? Like, t take me through that night
Oh
or
man.
day, I guess, if it was a daytime show.
No, it was a pretty big night. It was May 24th, I believe, at the Kitchener Odd. There, it was a big show for Off the Ropes. I was in a gauntlet match, so I was pretty excited about just being in a gauntlet match, being able to take on any random opponent. Depends on who I'd get to go against, but I ended up being able to go against Wade. Wade Allen was my first ever competition for just going out there and trying to just compete. Like he's a big guy, he's not a small guy, he's a veteran, he's been around for a few years and he knows his way in the ring. So I was pretty nervous but also scared for that moment. In the back of your head you're like, all right, here I am, this is my first match, and all of a sudden I'm getting drawed against, I'm the lucky next number to go out against Wade Allen. So I wasn't too happy, but also I was, again, the competitiveness in my background. I was like, all right, I just got to go out there and, make my family proud and do this. But I ended up getting lucky and beating him there in a couple minutes in the ring. But the next thing, and the reason why it's emotional for this part of the, story. It's just when you join wrestling, you think, with your brother, you think you guys would start things off in a tag team way and do your stuff. But it was pretty cool, an experience as much as, I didn't, like to hear it, but when his music cued into the next for the gauntlet and all of a sudden my brother came in and I was like, oh man, really? We're doing this at the start, like, of our careers and all that stuff. Like, we're not even gonna get to the feud. Like, we're not even gonna get to that point where we have issues or anything like that. We're gonna square it up right away. So when I look at that, that's like Vince McMahon stuff. He's just trying to. They're just trying to see your mental capabilities there to see if you're gonna lose it or not. So my brother came down the tunnel. It was nice to see, but we got to lock up real early in our wrestling careers. He got the better of me in the first match, but in the future, times will, hopefully the tides will change. But for now, we're happy. We're tag team partners, and we're still sticking together, and we've got lots of wins under our belts. But yeah, my first match was pretty much going against Wade Allen and then having to wrestle my brother, and then he kicked the crap out of me. So it was traditional basement wrestling right there.
Well, Wade
And
Allen is fantastic. I think that would have
yeah,
been you were in great hands.
yeah,
Wrong mentality. Your brother came out. That was your chance to get vengeance for
yeah,
so many couches and lampshades in the past. Uh,
yeah. Well, you can blame Wade for that. I had to use a lot of energy to take that guy down. So
Now, one
cool,
thing you
man.
didn't mention is the crowd. And I know that for a lot of people, their first show might be against a bit more of a modest crowd. I know what show you're referring to because I was there, and I think it was darn near 700 people
It
in the
was,
odd that night.
yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what you remember about that, because there are some people who go a long way in their career just saying, I'd love to be in a show where it's like 500 plus people, but you knocked that out right away.
Yeah, so that's something I won't ever forget. It's a night I won't like. I'll remember forever. Like you said, yeah, a lot of wrestlers do. Their first ever nights end up being in front of maybe 20, 30 plus people. So I won't, like I said, I won't take that for granted. But being involved in a crowd that big, it was pretty special. But yeah, it was one of those things that also allow you to understand too that this is a pretty serious thing that you're involved. A lot of people do put in their time and dedicate themselves to these events, and you just got to go in there and do your best and make them proud, the people watching, and hope they have a reaction and remember that night for that little spot that you're out there for. That's all I can think of. Like, it was amazing, it was emotional, but at the same time, I just had to take it all in when I was out there. It goes by really quick, really. It's just you go out there and all of a sudden it's tunnel vision, and then you do your thing. But yeah, you try to remember that you got about 700 people watching you, and they're all here to have a good time, so you want to make sure they remember that. But yeah, I won't ever forget that night, and that was pretty special. So I can't thank Off the Ropes enough for that.
And it might not have been necessarily how you had planned it, but you did still get to share that moment with your brother in
Yeah,
some way.
exactly.
So talk to me about the Falcon brothers, because actually, I think the first couple of times that I saw the two of you, you weren't a tag team. You were in gauntlets and single matches, I believe. And then eventually I saw, but was the intention always from the start to be that, like, talk to me, like, where was that point in your planned trajectory for your career?
So when we were thinking about the whole wrestling idea and getting involved, like once we did the training, like we kind of started getting hooked. So the first month in, we're just doing our training, and my brother didn't really have a name or anything for the team and all that stuff. Like he was just more or less trying to just mentally get ready for like the part. But me being there at work all the time, thinking about, okay, this is our tag team name. This is the name of this. Like we could use this idea. I started laying down the old, I guess the blueprint of it all. So once we came up with the name and we agreed on it all, and it kind of was like, all right, we got to do this as a tag team. Like we can't just not be single wrestlers and just do our own thing and have our own style. Like we got to be a tag team because we're legit brothers. Like you got to think about the Hardys, you got the Hart Foundation, all that stuff. Like you got the Gun Club, you got legit brothers that are just doing their things. You got the Young Bucks, all that stuff. So the way I look at it is just we have to be a tag team. So that was my whole part of it, and my brother's he agrees on the same thing. But I would have to say, going through when we were doing our own singles thing, it was itching. I'm just gonna grab a water here. Like when we were going ahead and doing our singles matches, it was pretty cool, but that's pretty much what you got to do. Like for as a tag team, we got to come in, we got to pretty much show the wrestling area and our pretty much our standings. We have to pretty much go in, compete, show the whole world what we can do, and then we got to earn our spot to even demand a tag match. So we had to put in our time, do our stuff there, but eventually we had an itch. Like, all right, what can we do here to get a tag match? Like, let's make something happen. So we ended up talking to the right people, ended up getting a match right away. But it was one of those, all right, you want a match? Here's your match, but prove it kind of thing, right? So we ended up getting lucky going ahead and doing that match. But it's just, yeah, I don't know. For me and my brother, I don't mind doing the singles wrestling and stuff, but when I have to go out there and wrestle with my brother, it's kind of just, I don't know, you just feel a lot better about yourself. You just have you got your brother got your back. I don't know. I just feel like we'll just come out on top a lot better and win more as a tag team compared to just being on our own in the wrestling world. So that's kind of like how we got into it.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, the type of chemistry and support that brothers are going to have is probably a little bit unparalleled in the world. So, was it kind of like almost like your first match again when you did your first tag team match with your brother? Like it was all new again, and now you got that somebody in your corner, figuratively and literally.
Pretty much, it's like like my first singles match. Yes, there's you get a little bit of that nerves comes around, and you're starting to freak out a little bit. But yeah, the tag match, I would say honestly, when it comes to tag matches, they're a lot harder than a singles match. Just in overall what's going on with the chaos, with the crowd, and just with with the refs. Like you said, you got your brother in the corner, but you also got two opponents next, across from you there that are pretty much ready to rip your face off and want to get the win. So you kind of gotta hopefully, if you're starting the match, you gotta hopefully be the guy that sets the tone, because if you end up being, a little flat-footed and you're getting beat up at the start, you got to really hope your brother or your tag partner can come in there and kind of clean things up, or hopefully make it a little bit better. So yeah, I think as being a tag team, it's a little bit, it's a lot more harder than it is just being a singles kind of wrestler, because like I just said, it's just a lot of the challenge in a match. There's a lot more going on. Like you said, you could be focusing, watching your brother wrestling in the middle of the ring, and the next thing you know, that guy's coming out of nowhere and he's punching you in the groin, or he's throwing you off the ring, or punching you square in the face and almost breaking your nose. So you got to keep your head on a swivel when you're in a tag match. You don't think you're safe just because you're out sitting around the ropes. You're pretty much still part of the match no matter what. So there's a lot more chaos in a tag match than a singles match. So I'll take a singles match any day compared to a tag match when you gotta, put me in one. So
So
nowadays, I guess.
So you got to wrestle in front of like 700 people. You got to wrestle with your brother. I
Yeah.
can't imagine there's going to be too much more that's going to top that in a young career. But what are some of the other highlights that come to mind that, even if it was to say end today, not that we would ever want that to happen, but like what are some of the fondest moments you're going to look back at?
I'd look back at wrestling in a parking lot in front of Ethel's Lounge. That is one of my all-time. You can ask my brother too. He'd probably say the same thing, that that's part of his all-time as well. That was like our top tier bucket list. Like there's the Odd, that's pretty cool, but Ethel's Lounge is like really cool. If you can wrestle there, that's like top tier for sure.
Even
Um,
with like a rain delay?
Even with the rain delay, the crowd was still awesome. There's still over 200 plus people there having a good time, itching to watch some good wrestling. But there's that, and then I would say, I overall just with the wrestling journey, I would say with the school I'm in and the people I'm around, it's probably a really cool family to be a part of. So that would be my number two. That if it was to end all, like right now, I got to meet a lot of really nice people, and got to experience some cool things with a lot of people in this wrestling world. So I wouldn't lose that. That's the thing that always like sticks with everybody going through. Even if you kind of finish wrestling, you get to keep that friendship and those bonds. So that'd be my number two for sure.
So luckily we can say it's not going to end tomorrow.
Yeah.
So what's on the bucket list next? Like we don't need to talk about like long term, right? Maybe you're here for a good time, not a long time, right? But what are some of the things that you'd like to cross off the bucket list more immediately, whether they be opponents you'd like to face, companies you'd like to work for, maybe even cities you'd like to travel to? Like what do you want to where do you want wrestling to take you next?
Man, I mean, Toronto would be pretty cool to go wrestle in Toronto. I haven't done that yet. I know maybe someday in the future, hopefully I can end up putting my boots in the ring in Toronto someday. But I'd say gold would be nice, having some gold around our waist for the tag team championships. If any wrestling out, company out there or anybody's looking to, some young, energetic guys like us, the Falcon brothers, to take on anybody with the belts, we don't hesitate to take that call and take anybody down. We're always willing to do that. But we've got right now we've got the High Frequencies. They're a pretty good tag team. We just ended up wrestling them pretty much a couple months ago, and we ended up winning. But at the same time, they had to cheat to get away. So we ended up giving a low blow to my brother, and I was outside of the ring. So they were lucky that I was just outside of the ring, confused, all that stuff. But we've got a future match coming against them in March 21st in London. So it's one of those right now. I'm not too worried about the future. I'm more worried about these guys. I've got these guys in my sights. So where me and my brother are just more focused on our match ahead with the high frequencies to make sure we can get a little redemption in the right way and get a win, a more correct Falcon Brothers ways. So the future is looking good, but I would say, yeah, the answer to your question, Toronto for sure. I mean, Niagara Falls would be great, but even going out in the States would be pretty cool. Just being lucky enough to cross the border and wrestle would be, a very nice thing to do. So, yeah.
So I'm a victim of circumstance, and I always have to do the wrestling cliche 101, and that is to ask who is the dream opponent, whether that's singles or tag team. You don't have to worry about reality or justification, but if you could get in the ring tomorrow with anybody that's lacing up their boots today, we're going to keep it
Yeah.
current because history opens up way too many options. But who would it be and why?
Oh, my dream opponent. I'd have to say for sure tag team if me and my brother could. I'm gonna go with singles first, and then I would like to do a tag team as well. Singles, I'd say wrestling Joey Janela. I think the guy that got me into wrestling in the first place and all that would be an amazing, amazing gesture or even honor to get to share the ring with that gentleman right there. That would be for sure a highlight in my career and just overall, I guess, what do you want to call it? A memory core from inside out. One of those things. It'd be that. And tag team, I would, if I could even, share the ring with my brother and the Hardy Boys, that'd be something for sure. Or even Edge or Christian, but any of those guys
That's
would be
amazing.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So last question I like to ask everybody is just for a piece of advice. You came into wrestling at the age of 30. Maybe you have a different insight on it, but if there
Yeah.
was just one piece of advice to make things a little bit easier, not necessarily cure everything, but like, what would have been the most important thing for you to hear when you were starting out that might help somebody out today?
Um, I'd honestly say for anybody like just getting into wrestling or they're thinking about it, just go ahead and try it. Just get a pair of running shoes and get in the ring and try it. It's not actually as scary as you think. Just do it because that's what they have in the school. They literally just have a sign that says just do it. And that's what you got to do. You just got to get in the ring and try it because that's all I'd say. It's pretty much once you're in there, I don't know. It changes you. It just gives you a whole different feeling compared to like what with hockey or soccer or any of these other sports could do. Like you'll know once you're in the ring if it's for you. So just try it. Get in the ring and try that free night out and let me know. And then I don't know. It changes anybody. That's what I can say. Just get in the ring and try it. Get some running shoes and you're good.
Sometimes the simplest makes the most
Yeah,
sense, right?
pretty much. Yeah. Just get in there.
Before we sign out, can you just let people know once again who you are and where they can follow you on social media?
Yeah. Well, I'm Lee Falcon. I'm one half of the Falcon Brothers. You can follow me at Lee Falcon 94 on Instagram. That is the only social media I got. Hate to say it, but that's as easy as it is. So follow me on Instagram, and hopefully you see us out on wrestling shows too. And if you ever want to stop by and say hi to me or my brother, we're very friendly guys, and we have no problem with shaking your hand and taking a picture or saying hi with you. We'd love to meet you. So thank you very much for the time. We appreciate it.
I can vouch that he means that because it happened with me. Anyway, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate the time.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it as well, and enjoy the night. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Independent Wrestling Profiles. Please help out the show if you can with a like, subscription, or review. We'll see you next time.
This program is a proud part of the Swear to Pod Network.